Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Here we go again. We will be doing a live interview for now. And today we will be having an interview for a very special person. And this interview will be uh, talking to a person which is not Filipino. The reason why I'm not speaking in vernacular right now is because we will be doing this one in English because the guest that we have right now is not a Filipino. So to be exact, he is from Canberra, Australia, and the main reason why Philippine amateur boxing uh, d- do a good job in Tokyo Olympic. He is the man behind it. So he's the architect of Philippine amateur boxing, and in behalf of the Filipino community, we would like to give him a warm welcome and also to be thankful of what he has done to the Philippine team, especially in boxing. And hopefully, we could have him for a couple of more years to come, and maybe 20 years, 10 years, who knows? But I'm really hoping that he could do a little bit more for the Philippines, especially in amateur boxing, because we could see the bright future ahead of us. So, without further ado, let's welcome Donald Walter Abnett. Hello, Coach. Good afternoon. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Oh, by the way, uh, for this entire interview, we have a special guest also, Anthony. Will be co-hosting us together with Mark, one of my colleague here in the channel, and also to those people who hasn't been in the channel watching us. So hopefully, we could see this one as a great venue uh, to to know who is Coach Don ABNETT. Okay, and also I would like to acknowledge my two colleagues. Unfortunately, they cannot go on with us today with the interview. That is Pong and also Lumar. So we are four in our channel, including Bro Anthony. That would be five. So we're the bioman or the mask man. Okay. By the
Okay.
way, Coach, do you have any greetings with the Filipino community right now? Do you know some of the languages that we have here in the Philippines, especially when you are greeting somebody?
Magandang umaga.
Ah,
Magandang
Hapon,
magandang
magandang
hapon.
hapon. Gandang
nice,
hapon,
nice,
coach.
nice, nice, nice,
Nice, coach.
I was going
nice
to
to hear
say,
that.
ano sabi mo?
You are. What you're saying, that's in English.
Oh, by the way, Coach, did I say it correctly? You're from Canberra.
Yes.
Okay. And first question, I guess, since you are on the show right now, uh, who is Don Abnett? When the times that uh, a couple of years before he became a coach or a boxer, who is Coach Don Abnett?
Before the Philippines, you mean? Before I come here as a coach?
Before you become a coach as a regular person, so who is Coach Don Abnett? Where did you
Well,
go to school?
I went to school in a place in the far north coast
Mm-hmm.
of New South Wales called Casino. There's a local boxing gym there. That's where I started my boxing. I worked in a timber mill up
Mm-hmm.
there, and then I moved down to Wollongong, south of Sydney, and started a trade in boiler making, and that's where I started coaching. I got married at a young age, married at 19, and I started continuing my boxing again down in Wollongong, but I got injured. I broke a rib and injured my spleen. That stopped me from working for a couple of weeks, but which wasn't real happy with my wife because we were going for a mortgage at that time. Um, uh, so I took an interest in coaching after that.
Oh, okay. So how long have you been coaching right now?
About 40 years, close to 40 years.
Wow,
Oh,
that's a
it's very
that's
long.
that's a
Yeah.
lot of time.
It's a lot of-
Okay, coach, I think Anthony has some questions for you.
Yeah.
Go, Anthony.
Coach, uh, we all know that you coach Australian national team and the Philippine national team. So can you give us some differences with both amateur styles and Australian amateur styles and Philippine amateur style? What can you see the differences between both of them?
Like it. I've just done recently some reflections of this Tokyo is my third Olympics. So the first Olympics was in London, and we had
Mm.
about a 12 to 16 week preparation. And the biggest struggle that probably we had with the Australian boxers, both in London and Tokyo, was the weight control. Uh, their first battle was on the scales rather than in the boxing ring. So uh, Rio, we had about 16 weeks preparation, and Tokyo was about 28 weeks preparation. I don't think we need any less. I think we need to repeat that again for Paris. But to answer your question, the athletes here in the Philippines are very, very dedicated and hungry to win. They've got different skill sets. You've got Marcel and Nesty Pacquiao, very powerful, and you've got Carlo Palom that won the silver medal. He's got a very good boxing brain.
Okay.
Thank you so
Any
much.
follow-up questions? Any follow-up?
Um,
Follow-up?
just about you, Coach. Did you like play as an amateur or professional in your younger days? Did you box?
Yeah, only as an amateur. I started training at a young age, probably between 10 and 11 years old.
Mhm.
Started competing at 12. I wasn't that great as an actual athlete, but I've become not too bad of a coach. That's from a lot of experience, but
Oh, okay. Okay. By the way, since you told us that you were a boxer before, did you go to the Olympics also?
no, no.
Oh, okay, I see. So you don't have any experience as a boxer to the Olympics, but you done an amateur.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Uh,
one of
oh,
my hometown heroes, Justin Rousel, he won a
ah,
bronze medal at
yeah.
in Sydney to 1991. He boxed our national elite men's coach twice, Ronald
Mhm.
Chavez, and Ronald beat him twice as well.
Ah, okay, I
talking
see.
about talking about the the success from the Olympic Games. It was a team effort. It wasn't just myself that drove the team to the success. There was other coaches there. We've got a really good coaching staff and a good structure. We've got a lot of people that work behind the scenes. We've got a good psychologist, very good nutritionist, and a very good strength and conditioning coach that helps.
Okay. Any questions, Lumar?
Mark, not Lumar.
Mark. I mean,
Okay, okay.
sorry.
Coach, I have a question to you, Coach. Being a coach, how do you motivate and teach a boxer, Coach?
No, in the Philippines it's very easy because they motivate themselves, and it's
Okay,
good to
Coach.
have happy a happy atmosphere in coaching. Like
Okay.
if the athletes usually thrive off the energy from the coaches as well. And one of the things that I observed even before become working with the Philippine team was the lack of confidence that the athletes had going into some of the major competitions against some of the major countries. So the confidence part of it, like I didn't interfere with the coaching too much when I first came here because there was nothing wrong with the coaching. But with the confidence and the communication between the coaches and the coaches and the coaches and the athletes, that had to improve. And there's still some work to be done in that area as well.
But my second question, coach, also, did you expect to be an Olympian coach here in the Philippines?
No, I didn't know what to expect. Like I knew the consultant coaching role was to help the Philippines team, but I didn't expect to be an Olympic coach. No.
Okay. We will transfer to Sir Efren.
Coach Don, you told us that you have been coaching. My question is this the first time that you coach an international country aside from coaching in Australia? What
Yeah.
country?
Like
Mhm,
I've done seminars in other countries in Papua New Guinea in the Oceania region. I've done
mhm,
seminars in Tonga as well. So,
mhm.
but not directly working with another nation. No.
Okay. Is there any difference? Is there any difference from coaching from Australia or Papua New Guinea or New Zealand from the Philippines? We know for a fact that they have a different culture. But how do you compare? How do you compare on how you teach the boxers from your country and also from the Philippines?
You know
What's the
the
difference?
the uh, the problem in Australia. It's a big country, and
Mhm,
to be able to get the athletes in a captured environment is very very difficult. So, and a lot of the there's a lot of things and a lot of different sports to choose from in Australia. So, usually when the athletes go to it, they may win a junior or a schoolboy or a youth Australian championships, but unless they go straight into the national program as an elite, it's very hard
mhm,
to retain them. They either turn professional or go to another sport, or they go on with their career because it costs a lot of money. Like here in the Philippines, you become a national member. The national program looks after you. You get housed, you get an allowance, you get fed, you get taken away to tournaments, and you get the opportunity to probably increase your allowance by getting medals at some of the benchmark
mhm,
events in Australia, and that's fully paid for. In Australia, it's only about 90% funded, and the rest of the funding they've got to find their own funding or their own sponsors to cover that. So it's very
okay.
hard to get dedicated athletes like you have here in the Philippines. If the problem of the COVID wasn't here now, the situation's great because you've got your junior youth teams,
Mhm,
and then your elite males and your elite women, all in Baguio training most of the year, so that the coaches get to know the athletes. They transition from the juniors into the youths into the elites, and sometimes they're like Charlie Suarez. I can remember coming to Baguio in 2009, and he was a part of the national team. He was a part of the national team still in 2019. He won a gold medal at the Sea Games in 2019. So there's 10 years. The coaches
mhm,
get to know the athletes very, very well, and
okay.
they're able to retain them.
Mhm. Okay. Thank you for that answer, Coach Don. Coach Don, I'll be reading some of the questions from the comment sections, and these are the Filipinos who wanted uh, to ask. So the first question is for 4K. He says, Coach, what was your reaction like when Jeff Horn beat Manny Pacquiao?
Yeah, I watched that at my home, and and I watched that at my home, and I actually predicted that win. And it was probably because I thought Manny would underestimate Jeff Horn, and I'd been to two. I took Jeff Horn to the London Olympics, and I also took him on. Went to the World Championships and two European trips. So I knew how difficult he was to box and how unpredictable he was, and I thought that's what it might take. If Manny was to underestimate him, because he was relatively unknown, and
Mm.
he, Jeff was still young and youthful. I think that might have been the difference between a win and a loss. That's what I particularly. But like I wasn't surprised. I wasn't surprised because I'd seen Jeff upset so many good boxers before, because he's got a very very unusual style. He's very very unpredictable. And as a coach, if you've got that in an athlete, before you interfere with the athlete, you ask yourself as a coach three questions: is it the way he's boxing or what he's doing? If you haven't taught the athlete what he's doing, is it effective? Is it within the rules? And does it leave him open for counters? So if he answers no to all of them, you just let the athlete box with his own ability.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for that, Coach. Coach, the second question coming from the comment section is from Naruto Pelone. Question to Coach Don ABNETT. Do you think Carlo Paalam can translate to the professional level? Do you want him to stay on the amateur or turn pro?
It's a very easy question. There's that weight is very very popular in the Philippines. So I don't, Carlo. I was with Carlo last night. He wanted, asked me could he go to Cebu with me. So I'm very close with Carlo, and he wants to go to the next Olympics, and he wants to go to the Olympics after that. So he's still young enough to do two Olympics, and he's probably going to make it enough if he dedicates himself and he shows the passion that he and dedication that he did for Tokyo. I can't see any reason why he should turn pro.
Okay, I see. Do you have questions, Bro Anthony?
I'll just go back to the start to your start from being a Philippine national team coach. Who just a curiosity, brought you here, or who hired you here, coach? And what are your first expectations when you came here, and when did you came here for the
I
first time?
started. I when I had a job as a head coach for the NTID program in the Institute of Sport in Canberra for 4 years, and part of that was a lot of the first couple of years was very much based around development in boxers. So I started going to Thailand. I started going to Thailand in 2007, and then 2008, and then 2009 we had a camp there, and then they had the King's Cup. At that time it was called the King's Cup. Now it's the Thailand Open. But the Philippine national team was there as well, and then Ronald Chavez was the coach. And at that time I was trying to find another Asian country to go to do some cross training with the Indigenous boys that I was working with, and so I'd asked our boss to make contact with the boss here in the Philippines, Sir Ed Pixon, and that's when the opportunity for us to come over here. So from 2009. Probably every year we at least come over to the Philippines once a year, sometimes two, sometimes 3 or 4 times a year, bringing teams over. And then my position, went from the NTID program to the head men's coach up to the London Olympics, and then I become the national development coach, and then it was looking after the females for 12 months, and then my position finished up in 2018. And then I knew that the Philippines were looking for a consultant coach, so I approached Sir Ed Pixon to ask him would he be interested in taking me on, and that's where it started. And then my position as a full-time coach here started on the 11th of February 2019.
Okay. Thank you. Any follow-up questions?
Just I want to thank Coach Sir Ed Pixon and for bringing Coach Don ABNETT, or the architect of the the Philippine national amateur coach for us. It's such an honor to have you, coach, because we all know that what happened in the Olympics. This is our best podium finish, and it personally for me, I didn't see it coming, and all thanks to the members of the ABAP and coach, especially Sir Ed Pixon, for hiring you, because it's such an honor to have you, coach. I'll pass it to Sir.
Like I said before, it was a team effort, and the capabilities was there beforehand. I predicted that we'd probably possibly get three in on the podium, and that wasn't excluding any individual. I wasn't excluding any. I just thought that we were going to get a bad decision somewhere, and one of them would miss out. But the four that we brought to the Olympics were capable of all getting on the podium. And we've got a nursery of boxers that's going to hopefully we're going to increase the numbers that goes to Paris, and hopefully have the same or hopefully better result in Paris.
Okay. By the way, coach, when you're coaching the Philippine team, do you have a hint, or do you have an idea, or a premonition that this team would do a good run in the Tokyo Olympics? Is there any hunch, especially on yourself, that this team is good and they can actually get some medals? Do
100%.
you have that hunch in yourself when you are when you are trying to teach these guys?
Yeah, I'm sorry that sometimes when you ask a question, I look for the long end. I don't look for the long end. It ends up being a long end. It was this Olympics experience was a different one for me, because we didn't have the COVID in 2016. Mm-hmm. We didn't have it in 2012. We went into the bubble training in Colombo for 8 weeks, and the athletes come straight from the province. Yeah, and talking out of school a little bit, we had, I'm not going to say who they were, we had athletes 8-10 kilos overweight. So the first 2 weeks in the bubble train was very, very crucial for us for me, the way I planned the training was they train at their own pace. So we could, so they could manage their weight, they can get their weight down, they can get themselves in a little bit of shape, they can pick a little bit of strength up and prepare himself for the next 6 to 8 weeks block of training. But that was an opportunity for us coaches to get to see what they were made of, what their engine was like, what their determination was like, and all the coaches got actively involved. It was very, very, very good. And the athletes that we took for training partners and sparring partners in Thailand were tremendous. Were absolutely tremendous in the sense that how they supported the 3 athletes that were going to the Olympics that we had in Thailand. But to answer your question, it was about halfway into Thailand. Into Thailand, when we were in Thailand, that's when I started getting that good feeling. I'm thinking, this looks good. I've got a really good feeling. I never had this feeling leading into Rio. I never had this leading into, and in the past you have that leading into a nationals or international competition, but there was the first time they had a really good feeling about a team going into the Olympics. The only thing that I thought that was going to be a setback was the the lack of international competition beforehand, but it proved that we didn't need it. When we got there, we were primed and ready to go. So yeah, I had a good feeling. And it was the support that we got, and it was the athletes' enthusiasm. They wanted the all to win.
Okay. Okay, so I'll be read. Mike, do you have questions?
Coach, I have a question, Coach. How you happy, Coach, that you are part of the success of the Philippine boxing Olympians like Magno and Carlo and Nesty, Coach? How you proud? This kind of historical made here in the Philippine boxing.
Right. What I can tell you, without a doubt, it was my best experience in my whole coaching career.
Okay.
To have, it's always been my dream to be a coach in the Olympics, but my ultimate dream was to be a coach with a team that had an athlete to win a medal. And that's a big achievement. That's very hard to win a medal at the Olympic Games.
Great, Coach. Thank you.
Yeah, I
Thank you
agree
very
with
much,
that.
Coach. Comments,
Because
Sir Efren?
Yeah, I agree with that. Because me personally, I have a feeling that the first gold will come in the first gold of the Philippines will come in boxing, because we have a silver medal before, and that was with Onyok Velasco in Atlanta Olympics. So I was just hoping that maybe this time we could have that gold, especially when those three boxers are in the semifinals already and fighting for the silver medal. And
Yes.
I was a little bit ecstatic when I heard about the news in the TV that we have a three boxers who will vying for the gold medal, and I was very excited. I'm hoping that at least one, but since the Lord did not give us this time, but I'm pretty much sure it will come in no time, especially when it is guided by you,
And the success of the Philippine
a very good coach. So
Coach Abner.
uh, maybe we could do that once again. And I'm
Awesome.
hoping that you will be guiding the boxers on the 2024 Olympics. The main reason why I said that is because one of the comment here says, "Will you still coach at 2024 Olympics in for Philippine boxing team?"
That's the question.
I, yeah. Will you be the coach of the Philippine team in 2024 Olympics?
That's not my decision to make. But
Okay.
like whoever it is, like at the moment, like the thing is, the legacy that I want to leave behind when I depart from the Philippines, if ever, is to not leave a mess behind. So to develop the coaches as good coaches, to be able to leave my position and not have the coach that's going to follow on from me to be down the ladder. I want them to be, the coach education to have their ability to make decisions and put training programs together. As competent as each other. So like that's my thought about my job here. I don't want to be, like, there's coaches out there that don't like to share their knowledge, but that's not a way to build a good organisation. So but to answer the question, I don't know. I don't know. Time will tell.
But we're hoping
Yeah.
that you would guide us once again and to
You are the
continue.
one, Coach. You are the one. You are the one that give us the historic, the very long wait and historic this kind, Coach. You are the one,
Okay, so
and we will hope it.
just a follow up questions coming from the audience. Sir Abnet, what did you do to enhance
Enhance.
in the training program of the Philippine boxing team, in particular?
To enhance the training.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like we the training we started the training block in Columba, like I say. The first 2 weeks was crucial to try and avoid injuries. And in that 2 weeks, we were lucky enough for the Sports Commission to provide doctors and physios and masseurs. So we had all the athletes medically and physically screened for any of the injuries that they had, and try to modify their training if there was any there still. So after that, we went through two training blocks of 10 weeks. So they're the 10-week training blocks broken down of the first 3 weeks is 60% general training, where it's running or strength or whatever it is, and only 40% of boxing specific training. And then the next 3 weeks, it's a 50-50 split. And then the last 4 weeks, it's a 60-40 the other way. It's a 60% specific training, 40% general training. So you're getting more explosive, ready to box. And that at that time, we had a couple of mini tournaments in many competitions in Thailand, and then we went through another 10 weeks block of training. And then I know that this didn't get agreed on too well by some of the coaches in the Philippines. In the first week in June, I give them an active 6-day recovery. So there was no boxing, no punching each other in the face. There was no punching bags or hitting pads or anything like that. They just played basketball for 40 minutes each day, and had the masseurs massage them, and they did recoveries, and the physios looked at them. So we give them mind and the body 6 days to recover, and then we went into a 8 weeks or 6 or 8 weeks of hard training, preparing for the last part of the Olympics. And I know that was was sort of questioned, I think, but they didn't say anything. But I just had the feeling that a couple of the coaches weren't real happy with that part of it, because they're used to training. But
Yeah.
it's very important to have the mind and the body recover, and so that they go fresh into another block. It's far better to train probably 10% under your maximum, and use mental motivation to perform at 100%, rather than 2%. You train 2% over your 100%, and then you'll perform 20% under your maximum. So yeah, that's my philosophy of it anyway.
Okay, thank you. By the way, I have a follow-up questions for that one. Do you uh, instruct your boxer not to involve too much in social media when you were training?
Yeah. I know the coaches, the two head coaches. They removed the cell phones from the athletes after 7 o'clock at night. I'm not sure. I can't remember when that was, but that was so that the boxers gets distracted as well, and then they allow silly little things to distract them. So and that's one of the things I suppose that the coaches seen as a distraction. So that's one of the rules they implemented, and I went along with. I thought it was a good idea.
Okay, I see. Okay, do you have questions, bro, Anthony?
Fast forward, coach. In this present time, there's been rumors that the son of Manny Pacquiao wants um to go in Olympics. Would you? The question is, would you welcome? Would the ABAP and you, coach Don, welcome Jimwell Pacquiao to the Philippine national amateur national team?
Yes, of course, 100%. Like everybody's got the opportunity to try and make a national team. But they just have to go through the process like everybody else does. Probably the national and nationals, and be identified by one of the national coaches or one of the scouts that scout for the team, the athletes to go onto the national team. Yeah, but no, yeah, for sure, 100%.
How glad are you, Coach, that with that recent history we made, there's a lot of people who are amateur boxers who is really eager to follow the steps of Carlo Paalam, Yumir Marshall, and Nesty Petesio. How proud are you to finally have this poise, this fire coming from the Filipino boxers?
That's it's fantastic to see. Like after coming out of the quarantine from the Olympic Games, it was a few weeks out of there, and they sent me out to Cagayan Order where Carlo was, and Carlo's such a lovely kid. The first 3 days was uh, uh, in club. They've got a sort of a bubble there in Cagayan Auto, and they had a competition, 3 day competition, and Carlo was there, and he was speaking to all the athletes, and you can see potentially 3 or 4 little 10, 11 year olds with the same fire that Carlo's got.
Uh,
Yeah, it's fantastic to see. Fantastic to see. And I'm expecting the same. I'm supposed to be maybe going to Cebu next week, and I'm expecting the same. From what I hear, there's 2 or 3 provinces with the same sort of structure, which is it's great to see.
okay. Uh, Bro Mark, do you have questions?
Mike, bro.
You're on mute.
Okay. Sorry. Coach, here in the Philippines, did you have an idea who will be the next boxing superstar in Olympics? Those of the winning of the like Itesio, Carlo, and Yumer, or these guys will be continue the legacy that they continue.
Yeah, like there was always potential. When I first got here in 2019, I can remember being interviewed by um, one of the I think it's a Philippine Star, uh, the owner with that Quinton, is it? Yeah, and he asked me who was the likely ones, and there was three out of the four that I'd mentioned made the team. So that the superstar Marcel's very very powerful, and he was probably unlucky, probably unlucky because how the seedings went. Uh, he was supposed to be the number 3 seed, and if that had been right, he would have been on the other side of the draw. So he would have beaten he would have met the Russian in the semi-finals, and the Brazilian should have fought the Ukraine. But what had happened when the American qualifiers were cancelled? They give all the number 3 seeds to the Americans. So that pushed Marcel over the other side of the draw. So he fought. That's when he come up against the Ukrainian. So and it was a touch and go, and we spoke about that last night. And probably
Mhm.
Marcel, maybe his mistake was to take a little bit of a breather in that first part of the last round. And like from all accounts, we thought that he'd done enough to win, but it wasn't to be. But he done the Brazilian a big favour because he softened the Ukrainian up, because the Ukrainian had won that fight. The 3 rounds he was way in front, and then he got hit one on the chin. It didn't look like a really hard hit, but Marcel hit him very very hard, very very hard. So he's certainly a superstar, But they're all all the medalists, and Iris Magno. She was very very pumped going into the Olympic Games as well.
Okay. So we will be reading again another question here from the Lugdog Sports TV. He is asking, what were the changes you made in the training? Oh, it was already been answered. So this one. So why you choose Philippine boxing team instead of other country? Maybe the right question for this one is, since you already said a while ago that it is the Philippine team who approaches you to become a coach. So my question is there any other country aside from the Philippines who gave you an opportunity to be a coach for them?
Uh, Not prior to coming here. Since the Olympics, yes,
Okay, I see. But you choose to be a Philippine coach.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so
coach.
much, coach.
Thank
If
you
not,
very much,
if not,
coach.
we will not be
We
we
don't
will
have
not be
a
having those medals.
yes,
And
coach.
we are very thankful that you choose to become a
To be
Philippine
being,
coach. Okay,
to
thank
being
you.
part of the Team Philippines, coach. And the all of
And
Filipinos loving
mhm.
you.
Okay, so another question here. Do you think Yumir Marshall can be a world champion? Maybe he is asking if Yumir Marshall would be a world champion in pro boxing.
Yeah.
Do you think?
Well, he's been like the professionals have been handed over a very good boxer. He's got
Mhm.
a wealth of experience internationally. He's won a junior world championship. He won a senior silver medal. He's got lots of experience. So they've been handed over a very good product. So it's
Mhm.
probably up to how they handle him from here. But potentially the sky's the limit for Marcel.
Okay. Do you have questions, Anthony? Mike?
Do you often watch professional boxing, coach, like events?
To tell you the truth, in the last 2 decades, the most professional boxing that I've watched was Manny Pacquiao. That's about the only one that really interests me. I really admired him years ago, and obviously I watched his last fight, and I was pretty sad that he lost. But so there's always a shelf life for everything.
Mm. Uh, any
So we
questions?
can agree, coach, that your favorite professional boxer is Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah, yeah, without a
Your very own idol, coach. The only one.
Okay, so do you have questions, Mike? Do you have a follow-up
By the
question?
way, coach, did you meet Senator Manny Pacquiao, coach,
Yes, I
before or
met him
in
at the world.
something? Yes.
Yeah, I met him at the World Championships in Doha, and prior to that, in 2009, he was up playing basketball in Baguio with the national coaches up there. Uh,
Okay.
I was ill that night, but I'd got some gloves, and I'd bought some gloves for the coaches to sign, and my set of gloves weren't taken there, so I'd give my set of gloves to Ed Pixon afterwards, and he got the gloves signed for me. But always wanted the photo with the glove, so I could put it in a frame in my bar at home. So that's where I got my photo.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so I have a questions also for Coach Abnet, and I was very fascinated about what he is thinking about this one. Uh, is there any circumstances, or should I say, an specific thing that happened to you, uh, especially when you're doing a coaching job? Is there any circumstances that uh, you think to quit, or from the get-go, you said to yourself that no matter what happened, I will be a coach for my entire life?
Uh, it's very tough early. It's very tough. To be ambitious to be a coach, you like to have the you like to have all the answers, and coaching is a big long um, an apprenticeship. So when you haven't got the answers, it's very frustrating. Sometimes when you make decisions and they're the wrong decisions, and it's costly to the athletes, it disappoints you, and that gets you to a point where you want to walk away from it. One of the questions that was asked to me on in Messenger from Anthony was who was the best boxer or the best boxer I'd coached, or the boxer that really helped me was a kid named Rod Hands. I started coaching him at 12 years old, and that was in about my third year as a coach. But I had him for 12 years. So he won multiple national championships. He went from a schoolboy to a junior to a youth and through to an elite. And he won championships in all of them. He actually qualified for the Atlanta Olympics in 1996. But the transition I had to make as a coach is how you treat schoolboys, and then how you treat juniors, and then how you treat youths, and then how you transition that into elites. And that was tough for me because I made lots of mistakes, and lots of mistakes where I was guessing things. But that's the experiences, and that's the education that I want to put into I see the problem. I've seen that in Coggy and Auto, and that's they're the experiences that I share with them coaches. So watch out. You don't treat juniors like elites. And how you plan the training and structure the sparring and limit their competition-based type sort of training in competitions like sparring into training. You take that out. You keep the fun and enjoyment into with kids, and they're the things that I learned. They're the challenging things that I come across when I was a beginner coach, and that's some of them mistakes I made nearly forced me to walk away from the sport. Sorry, that was a long answer, but that's the way I can explain it.
It's okay, coach. It's okay, coach. It's fine, coach. It's
Okay.
okay.
By
So,
the way,
Jacob,
Coach, let's welcome Brother Jago here on our channel. And welcome, Brother Jago. Do you have any questions for Coach Abnett?
Thank you guys for having me. Coach,
It's a
first of
pleasure.
all,
it's a
Don't
pleasure.
mention it.
congratulations. I've been a big fan of yours for a long time since Yumir Martial went to the World Championships in IPA. I have a question. So the Cubans have their own style, and the Eastern Europeans and the Central Asians, they all have their own style. Can we expect a Filipino style of Olympic boxing? Because I don't think we have one. And when I saw Carlo Paalam, I I was kind of excited because I saw the potential there,
Yeah.
right? And Filipinos are known to be, explosive punchers, but for some reason, when we're up against pure boxers like Cubans, we always fall short, and we fail to capitalize.
Yeah.
Yeah, so can we expect are you developing like a Filipino style of boxing
Well,
for?
there was a style that we concentrated, and if you watch the way that most of them boxed, uh, except for Marcel. Marcel didn't, like the three of them had 7.5 months together. Marcel, he was with the professionals, and he come back to Sulbanga, and we couldn't get him to Thailand, couldn't get him a visa, so he didn't share a lot of the training experiences and the development of the boxing brain that we did with the rest of them. But that to share, I'm not going to share the style that was installed into them, because I don't want the world to know what we've done. But to reflect off the I've been to 10 world championships and two prior Olympic games before Tokyo. I took some things away from both the Olympics and some of the world championships and put a program together that I thought might work for the Philippines, and they were key takeaway things that worked. And one of them was the boxer that got the boxer of the tournament in the Rio Olympics, and he was a Cuban. So that was a key thing that we. I know it was as a coach, you need to make decisions, and you need to live with the decisions, whether they're right or whether they're wrong. In this case, we were pretty lucky because we got 2 silvers and a bronze. And we had to make decisions to, that we had an opportunity to probably get some competition in the. We had the opportunity to take the team to Dubai to the Asian Championships 3 months into the training camp in Thailand, but we decided not to because of the fear of maybe catching the virus and not being able to go back to Thailand and get stuck back into the Philippines, and that would have been our Olympic campaign finished.
Okay.
I'm actually glad that we have like a foreign coach, because no disrespect to Filipino coaches, but when I watch people, Filipino coaches, when I watch them explain and train their fighters, the way they explain is like, okay, jab and boom, boom, bang. It's we're not very eloquent. And then even in our martial arts, we got left behind by the Japanese with the karate. Our martial arts, because we're not very good teachers, we like to demonstrate, but we don't know how to explain that way. You know what I'm saying? What are the challenges? Some of the biggest challenges of teaching Filipino boxers, or maybe collaborating with other coaches, because let's be clear, Filipinos, when it comes to foreigners coming here teaching us, we get a little bit touchy, and we get a little bit sensitive for some reason. You can't really, like for example, when I heard stories about the Cuban coaches before, and Filipinos, they didn't like the way they trained. So my question is, what are the biggest challenges of collaborating with Filipino boxers and coaches?
I really haven't had a problem with unless it's done behind my back and I don't see it. I've never had a problem with communicating with the athletes or the coaches. The going into the Olympic Games, we did a lot of competition sparring, and I made sure that I asked the 3 athletes, do they understand my instruction? Do they understand my instruction? Because if they don't, it was for me to feed it to one of the coaches so they could translate it, but they all had no problems understanding me.
Okay. I agree with that, especially when you told us that you accept the coaching job for the Philippines is because of the communication. Maybe that's one of the reasons why you accepted the coach of the Philippine team, because of there is no language barrier when it comes to Filipinos. When you are teaching them, even though you are speaking English, they could understand you very well. Maybe that's one thing maybe that's one thing, or maybe one of the thing or reason that you accepted the job, right?
Yeah, and for what the gentleman said about the Cuban coaches, I've heard that as well. I've heard that. I've not only heard that in the Philippines, I've heard that in other countries. But what I want to leave behind as a legacy here in the Philippines is not to leave a dirty mess. I want to share all my knowledge that I've got and pass it on to the next generation. We've got some very good young coaches coming through. They're very intelligent. They'll be able to build that boxing brain themselves. So and I think that's what's helped me being accepted a little bit with that attitude, because I've got no problems with sharing anything with the coaches, and that's the way to build a better like a coaching environment. And as soon as the coaches have a good attitude, the athletes, it rubs off on the athletes. The athletes want to train for them.
Yeah, I do agree with that. It transcends to every individual, right? So, do you have any follow-up questions, Bro Diego?
Oh yeah. Why do you think Filipino fighters are so explosive? Is it the way they train? Is it their anatomical structure?
Yeah.
What do you think is the reason why they're so explosive with their punches?
It's a like that's a good question. I've seen that before I come working with the Philippines, and we do explosive training. We do we got a good strength and conditioning coach that puts a very good strength base, and then when it gets close to the boxing, we turn that into explosive power. But I don't know what it is. I don't know how to answer that, to tell you the truth. And
Okay.
it's I think if I was to have a stab at answering it, I think it's more to do with their instincts. The place I went to a couple of months ago was Cagayan Oro, and the little fellas there. Oh my God, they all want to. They all want to win. They all. We did a thing that a game that I play with a lot of the juniors and youths called the King of the Ring. And it's a game where they just throw the lead hand. It's the first to land the lead hand. If you get hit by the lead hand, one's in, one's out, one's in, one's out, and then after 10 minutes, you pick the two best boxers there, and they compete against each other. So it's the first to land three lead hands. Oh, it's very, very competitive, very, very competitive,
That
and they
sounds a
all
lot
want
of
to
fun.
win that 200 pesos is for the King of the Ring. So it's very,
A little bit of token. Maybe, Bro Diego, it is maybe on the food that we ate. Maybe it's the sinigang.
Sinigang. Yeah.
It's explosive, right? Especially when there's too much chili on it. Oh, Mark, do you have any questions?
Coach, this my question, coach, is not in out of boxing question. By the way, coach, you are living by few years, months here in the Philippines. What is your favorite food, coach? Filipino food.
I've got to say, Coach Ronald Chavez's wife's goat adobo.
Okay. Wow. Adobo. Meat or chicken, coach?
No, goat adobo. Goat.
Goat.
Goat,
Goat.
Uh,
kambing,
Wow.
kambing.
Kambing here
Speaking
in
of
Tagalog, coach.
kambing, speaking of kambing, shout out Bro Lumar.
Bro
Uh,
Lumar,
he's he's preparing food with kambing meat
yeah,
uh, right now.
right now. Our colleague,
uh,
colleague host right
and
now.
speaking of Lumar, he has a question here. So I would like to read this one for you, Coach Don. According to Lumar, is it true that you used to sleep in the gym together with the boxers, even though there's a hotel room that they offered to you? You intend to sleep with the boxers in the gym, not in the hotel.
No, that's true. That's true. I don't think
Wow.
it's.
Wow,
I don't
coach.
think you need to be close to the boxers. So anything happens, or you don't need to
Mhm.
put yourself up on a pedestal because you're considered different or better. No, no.
I think
I'm
Okay.
happy to.
that's a
I'm
great
not.
move.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like doing what Efren Reyes done in the billiards. He was actually sleeping in the
Sleeping on the
actual
top.
table of the
Actually,
billiard.
table. Yes, the living
Yeah.
legend of the billiards here
The,
in the Philippines. That
the
is the
only
story.
the only difference is you have a quarters in the gym, right? So you can
Yes.
actually go there and
Yeah.
sleep it
Yeah.
Yeah.
quietly. It's not like It's not like Efren Bata Reyes was sleeping in the billiard table
Sleeping all the
actually.
time.
And then on the other table there was other guy who is playing and making some noises. Okay. Do you have questions once again, Mark?
Bro
Do you have
Anthony, I
questions?
have a question.
Oh, bro, Anthony.
Bro Anthony.
Just keep it going.
Okay.
Bro Jago.
I
Diego.
just have a quick reaction because my wife, she had this restaurant before, and her executive chef was Italian, and he was so
Wow.
used to pointing at the Filipinos when they make mistakes, and she had to fire them because they were starting a mutiny. They wanted to stab the guy. But it's a good move that you form like a some sort of camaraderie with them. You eat their food, you sleep with their sleep, and it's a good way to gain their trust, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's it's like a camaraderie
Yeah.
between people. Oh, by the way, there is a question here. One of our regular audience. He is Don Rudy Boxing, and the question is: I noticed that the confidence of Paalam, Nesty, and Marshall in previous Olympics. Is there any
Special
special
motivation.
motivation or maybe confidence is natural with Filipino boxer? Is confident makes difference in boxing?
We've got a very good sports psychologist works with the boxers, and he does motivational talks. He gives them a relaxation. He worked with them the whole way through the Olympic Games. He's fantastic. He's fantastic with communicating with the coaches, communicating, bridging that gap between the coaches and the athletes and the athletes. So like I don't really get involved in that, but I know he does a very good job.
Okay. Bro Diego, you have questions?
Um, I really do believe that Yumir Marcial softened up Alexander Kizniak for that Brazilian. He softened him up. That's why the Brazilian was able to knock him out so easy.
All the Brazilians were very, very thankful to Marcel after that fight. I was sitting right beside Marcel during the fight, and we're going, "Oh, look at this! Look at this!" And bang, he's gone.
Because he took a lot of shots from Martial, and in
Yeah,
boxing, it takes you even get suspended for months if you go through a tough fight. But
Yeah.
that it was only a span of a few days, and then he had to fight. And this guy was a beast, Alexander Gizniak. He was a beast. He came from light heavyweight, right?
yeah,
And he,
yeah. He
and
come,
then he,
come down. He won a world championships in the light heavies. But like I could talk about things that I observed after that fight, and I prefer not to talk online about it. But he was definitely rattled.
Okay. Uh, Coach Don Abner, since you told us that you tried to eat some food in here in the Philippines, did you try balut?
Why you not try, coach? It's so delicious, coach. It's good.
I heard.
I have a question.
Okay.
Sige, sige, ikaw na.
Go ahead, go ahead, go
Um,
ahead.
Go ahead.
the same way, almost the same with Bro Jago. I have question from the Olympics, Coach. Did you have what event or what fight did you have a hard time, or and what is the sweetest victory for you in this past Olympics, or what fight
What
do you have a hard time?
a hard time.
Yeah.
Like a match, typical match, and then you kind of have a hard time having a game plan on it because the type of opposition is very very tricky or very hard. something like,
There was
or
there was
not?
a couple of situations that come in mind. One was the first with Carlo Parham. It was very, Carlo Parham went in there to counterpunch in the first round, and he boxed brilliantly in the first round. And then it fell apart in the second round. He took to the boy, he allowed the boy to come back, and then after the second round, we said, "Come on, what are you doing? Go back to counterboxing." He counterboxed well and boxed his ears off. But where the problem was, as the assistant coach Ronald Chavez, he seen the score as 5-0, and that's what he related back to Carlo. 5-0 are up, and then Coach Ronald Chavez says maintain, which means keep going the same way as you are. But Carlo read it the wrong way. He thought he was 5-0 down. So he went the other way around and tried to tear the bloke's head off. And a boxer shouldn't try and brawl with a brawler. He never wins. So
Yeah.
that was a challenging. I was thinking, what happened? But the two sweetest victories, I can't say one. The two was Nasty against the number one seed. That was
Yes,
a
coach.
good victory, and
Yes,
Carlo
coach.
against the world champion gold medalist
Yapay.
from Korea.
Yapay.
Uzbek.
Mhm. Any
Yeah,
follow-up questions, uh, bro Anthony? Do you have follow-up questions?
I will go to pass to anyone who wants to
Okay,
ask.
Mark.
Coach, my question is, coach, right now you have a protege to be next will be the trainer for handling of Philippine boxers in amateurs in the Olympics. Did you have a protege right now, coach? You seeing to be next to handle it in the next program of the Philippines?
Again, I don't understand the question. Sorry.
There you go. My question is, coach, is did you have a protege right now? A protege to be your assistant to handle it, some of the boxers of the Philippine team?
That's probably going to evolve over the next couple of years. I think that'll evolve over the next couple of years. Well, at the moment, we're going to put some things together to find out where the coaches want to go with their coaching. Find out how in what areas that they want to improve, and then we'll want to put some workshops together
Okay.
to help them with their development, and we'll just see how that evolves, and see who puts their head up to probably be the best prospect.
Okay. Thank you, coach.
Okay. Follow-up questions, coach. When you're trying to coach the boxers, are you vocal? Are you vocal with them?
Vocal.
When I'm again,
When you are coaching them, are you vocal? When you're training.
yes, of course, yes,
Ah,
yes.
okay.
In the gym, you teach the boys to box. When you go to the tournament, you teach them to win.
Okay.
It's very, very important when you train your boxers with specific tasks. You allow them to build their own boxing brain. You give them options to with their attacks, their counter attacks, their defenses. You give them options. Use a leg defense, a hand defense, or a
Mhm.
trunk defense. Use a counter attack or a counter punch or a double attack going forward. But when it comes to their individuality, you allow them to show you what they're capable of. And then when it comes to sparring, you put themes in. You always put themes in so they can learn different things, and you always change the training partners around. You don't get them to train or spar with the same style all the time. You get them to be more universal. So and then you're always talking to them. You're always telling them, what tactics they use, why they use their different defenses, why they use the different ranges, how they their hand position, all the things that the coaches should do.
Mhm, mhm. Okay. Nice. Bro Diego, do you have questions?
Uh, do you guys fly in sparring partners from abroad? like to get them used to a certain type of style, like for example the Cuban style, which is hell for Filipino fighters.
Yeah. Uh, no, we don't. Well, in leading into the Sea Games in 2019, we tried to go. First of all, we tried to go to Sheffield in England to to get some training partners there, some sparring, some different training methods over there. But the problem was we couldn't get a visa in time. And then our next option was to go to Australia on the Gold Coast and then have 3 or 4 week training camp and then have a 3 or 4 day competition at the end. But that fell over as well because of visa issues. So our last option was to bring the Australians over to us. So that's what we ended up doing. We brought the Australians over, and they trained with the Filipinos for 2 weeks, and then we had two lots of competitions at the end. And it proved pretty valuable because we had a very good Sea Games.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So
Except
let's follow-up questions, bro Diego.
one more question. Do you have did you get to teach that guy Marvin, that a light heavyweight Filipino?
Yeah, yeah.
Is he gonna be?
The first 2-3 months that I spent here, I'd sort of spent a bit of time with him, and I roomed with him at the Asian Championships, and then it gave me an opportunity to get to understand how he was thinking, what he needed to work on, and we studied his opponents. He was lucky enough to win a silver medal at the Asian Championships, so yeah, I did a bit of work with him.
Mm.
Is he gonna be fighting anytime soon? Is he still in the amateur circuit?
Yeah, he's still in the amateur circuit. We're hoping to get him back. We just don't know when. With the COVID situation, everything's been thrown up in the air. But there's just that many things that you can't count on because of the COVID. Like that's what's happened with the 3 major competitions we had in December this year. The 2 of them were cancelled, and 1 was postponed. So you can prepare for them, but you can't count on going to them.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's read some of the questions from the comment section. So, according to Micaela Britannico, what other Filipino amateur boxers are you looking forward to coaching? Maybe she meant that who particular boxer are you looking
You've
forward
scouted.
No,
to coach?
scouted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we had a very good support team going to Thailand to support the Olympic athletes, and it was the Rio Olympic Roger Ladon. He was probably the standout support because he provided a lot of encouragement, he shared a lot of his experiences with the 3 athletes. He's always going to be hard. It's always going to be hard. That weight division is going to be always hard. You've got Marvin Tabamo. He's going to be pushing for that spot, Carlo's spot as well. Then you've got out of that weight division, you've got Ian Bautista, another kid named Ogari, and then you've got new boys coming up, John Paul and Dela Cruz, and then you've got Margin Piana in the 69s. He done very, very well in his sparring in Thailand, and James Paletti. He's an excellent counter puncher, and then you've got good juniors, youths coming up as well, and you've got good females as well. You've got Ira Villegas and Risa Punchwick. Risa Punchwick was excellent in Thailand. She actually, the girl that won a bronze medal in her weight division, she dropped her with a left hook.
Okay.
Wow.
So
No Filipino heavyweight so far?
No, we maybe put two together.
Ah.
Some protege, coach. Some protege become Phil like that.
We need to scour the Philippines for a
Ah,
heavyweight.
heavyweight.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, be
But
good, be good.
by the way, coach, are you okay to extend another several minutes because it's already 1 hour and 15 minutes already. Maybe you are doing something on your end.
No,
Are
no,
you
no,
okay with that?
Are
I'm
you
To
okay,
fine.
extend
I'm
coach?
another?
fine.
Okay.
Okay, okay.
Okay, no problem to
Wait.
coach.
Okay, so let's read some more because some couple questions here coming from the audience. Jupo Gasol, he says, Coach, how do you teach a hook? Palms facing in or palms facing down? Maybe
Yeah,
he is asking on what is the proper way to throw punches, especially when you're doing a hook.
yeah. Well, there's two different ways, like he says, with facing palms facing in or palm facing down. Like the palm facing uh, towards yourself, the hook
Mhm,
is the elbow is usually closed a little bit, and it's coming
mhm,
directly from your body. So it's usually a power hook. It's finishing off in a combination where
mhm,
when your palms are facing down, the elbow is more open, and it usually is used as a counter punch. So you'll counter over a southpaw's lead, or you might be hooking away from your opponent. So it's
mhm,
more open and more used as a. But it doesn't really matter uh, as long as it's taught with landed with the knuckles. You can't teach to land on the inside or hand or thumb or down like that.
maybe
So
maybe there's some reaction coming from one of the hosts, Bro Diego. Why are you smiling about that?
I don't know. I don't know what happened to American boxers, but for some reason they keep hurting their hands and they keep. I think they've forgotten how to punch. Now they're a bunch of slappers. Did you notice this, Coach?
yeah, no, I haven't noticed. I've noticed that the hand injuries.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we've had our deal of hand injuries as well. And they're
Yeah,
things that it's broken noses and sore jaws and ribs and hands. They're the biggest thing. The thing is with in boxing, 90% of your punching is done in the gym when you're punching the punch bag or the punch mitts or you're sparring. So, but in training, there's no restrictions how you can wrap your hands. You can put plaster around your hands. You can make special things up to protect your hands. So you should in training, but in competition where you're only using your hands, 10% of your time you use your hands in competition. There's restrictions, so you should be protecting your hands during training because
Okay.
that's most of the injuries are done in training.
what about hand conditioning exercises like
And
the Kung Fu masters do?
Well, you strengthen your wrists. You strengthen your wrists, and
okay.
there's different things. You see the Cubans do try to strengthen the jaw that they'll lie straight down, put their chin on the floor, and lift their head up with their chin. I see that as stupid.
Filipinos usually chew on what do you call this sugar canes. That's why they
Yeah,
have.
especially in Negros. Okay. Mike, do you have questions?
Coach, this is my last question, coach. For
Ma-
you, coach, who is the whose country is the big competence in the boxing in the Olympics? Do you think who's the great like program, boxing program? Do you have my idea, coach?
In
Yeah,
your
who's
opinion?
the powerhouse
The
in boxing.
powerhouse in boxing.
So it's always been Cuba. It's always been Cuba. The
Okay.
GP, the Great Britain they've got a really good program. They've got a lot of money.
Okay.
They pour lots
Yeah.
of money into their program. So they've got podium potential. They've got emerging boxers. They've got a lot of they've got a really good system over there and good coaches as well. Uh, Kazakhstan are going to be in
Yeah,
the next
I agree.
Olympic cycle. I can see them to be a powerhouse. Uzbekistan here in Asia, the Uzbeks, everybody expected the Indians to do a lot better than what they did. They had nine in the Olympics and only got one bronze medal.
Mhm.
But it's sometimes not the resources and not the athletes. It's how you structure it.
Mhm.
I don't. If I was to repeat, if I was to have a program to repeat going into an Olympics, I would repeat what we did this year. As tough
How
as
about,
it was 7 months away from everybody, and it was tough,
yeah?
but it was worth it. It was worth it at the end.
How about the Ukraine, coach?
Well, you have a look at Ukraine's performances at the Olympics. There was only the middleweight that got
Yeah.
a bronze, silver medal. That was the only one that got. And they had a full team. Overall, I think we done second best. I think four
Yeah.
boxes, 3 medals.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm,
Coach, I
I'm
have a
actually
question.
excited. Oh, go ahead.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
I saw one name here in the comment section, and his name is Vincent Sordia. Are you familiar with this coach? He fought Mark Castro and the brother of Ryan Garcia. Where did you get him, and what are your thoughts with this guy, with this boxer?
Vincent. Oh
Vincent, yeah.
yes, I've done a little bit of online training with him through the COVID, and he was over with us just before the COVID. Shows a lot of promise. He's very, 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 very competent. But it's a tough division too. He's in the 57s, so it's a tough division here in the Philippines. The 52s and the 57s are all tough for a Filipino. But uh, very dedicated. I like the lad too. He's a nice boy.
Mhm. Bro Diego.
Ah, I was actually excited about the Indians during the Olympics because they did pretty well in the World Championships. I guess I just want them to succeed because those are billions of eyes of boxing fans. We need those
Yeah.
people to promote the sport. I wish we could lend you to them, but we're not gonna do it. We're greedy.
Coach,
I think they're being taught by the Americans, right? They have that slick boxer style.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they got
I do agree.
Indian coach for the females, and I think he's Argentinian. Uh, the males has got an Argentine coach.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I agree with that
I agree,
because
coach. I agree also.
a few years ago, Indian was not in the map of boxing, but fortunately, after several stint in
Years.
the amateur boxing, they came up on top. So they are the resurging country right now in the Asia for boxing. So I'm hoping that it could flourish. Like what we do here in Southeast Asia. Especially here in Southeast Asia, we have so many competitions.
Yes.
Before, we are the only powerhouse country, but the emerging of Thailand and Vietnam, it becomes harder for us to win
They
any
impose
tournaments.
the program. The
So
program of
let's see. Let's see how would India will become the
a big threat.
yeah, a big threat
A
And
for
big
China
us.
threat.
too. I
Yeah,
heard
yeah,
they're
yeah. China.
they're
Apparently,
focusing on
China.
their boxing. Yeah,
Yeah,
Mm.
they're putting money there now.
Yeah.
The boxing program of China also.
Mm. By the way, Coach Don, do you have any particular boxers that you're looking forward to uh, one of these days you'd be able to coach with?
In the Philippines.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well, there's a few, like when I say Carlo and the 57s and the 52s is very competitive here in the Philippines. So too is the 51 females. The Iris got her spot in the Olympics in the qualifiers, but there's another exciting girl that's there in the 51s. Her name's Ira Villias. She's very exciting. And it's nip and tuck with them two. There's very close in between them two. It's you never know who's going to win. So Iris, at the end of her preparation for the Olympic Games was pretty hard to beat, but she was very, very determined, very, very, very determined.
Okay. Okay. Maybe last two questions before we let Coach Abnet to wrap things up. So, do you have any questions?
Final words.
Fi-
Coach, your final words, Coach.
Again,
Final words, Coach, for the
from me?
aspirants.
Yeah.
No,
Do you have?
the only thing I've really got to say, I'm really looking forward for the restrictions to be lifted and us to get out there and put a few good training camps together and see how we go with the next stage of our boxing. It's exciting.
Okay. Do you have any things to promote, or do you have a YouTube channel that you wanted to
Yeah,
promote?
Coach.
Something
You're
like that.
right now a blogger,
Or
Coach.
do you want to greet someone,
Yeah,
or somebody?
No, not really. I'm
Okay. So you've been so very
Yeah.
private.
Any events, Coach,
Yeah.
that we might expect our
Yeah.
amateur boxers to see upcoming
again.
events? Any upcoming events that we can see our amateur boxers perform to the best of their ability coming?
Yeah. It's sort of been a little bit of a saving grace that the Women's World Championships have been postponed to March, because we've probably cut the preparation down a little bit short, a little bit fine for that. And speaking to Nesty Pacquiao last night, she's very excited to prepare for that event as well. So coming back in the second week in January is going to give us a good opportunity to prepare there. And if Nick Nesty's on the team and Iris is on the team, and we should have a good bunch of girls going into it.
Okay. Thank you, Coach.
Coach, thank you.
Bro Anthony, parting words. Do you have particular things to say, or do you want to greet someone or somebody, or any
On
anything
behalf
to
of
plug?
this group, we would like to thank you, Coach, for the history that you parted to our country. I consider you. I wrote an essay or a post that you are our architect
Architect.
to the boxing amateur boxing standout right now. And we, on behalf of all the Filipino boxing fans, we would like to thank you for lending your mind, your heart, and your soul to our country. And for this interview, Coach, thank you so much. We are so blessed to have you on behalf.
It's a pleasure working with the Filipino people. I love the Filipino people. They're great people to work for, and it's great to put smiles on people's faces. That they're such lovely people as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Sir Efren, may pabol si Sir Don Rudy. Pabasa daw. Sir Don Rudy.
Oh, maybe I last questions for you. Coming from Don Rudy Boxing. Last Olympics, Philippines got 3 medals in boxing. What the next target in Paris 2024 Olympic? Do you think we will get gold medal in Paris Olympics?
Yeah, like it's like we say. I would like to see us put a lot more time and effort uh, into getting good results in world championships, the next world championships coming up, and the Asian championships where we get seeding points. See Marcel, he missed the first round of boxing in the Olympics because he was a seeded boxer. So and that gives you a little bit of a hands up. And then going into like Olympic Games or World Championships or many of them major events, you got to punt on three different things. You have to have a good performance. You have to have a good performance, and the performance is it's usually controlled through good preparation from coaches putting a good training plan in place, and the athletes committing to the training. So it's really in our hands, but luck that's to do with the referees and judges and the draw. If
Yeah.
you if you if you get a good draw, so like we didn't get so lucky in our preparation was fantastic. Our preparation was fantastic, but the draw didn't go too well for us at the Olympic Games. Like Nasty Pacquiao, she run into the number one seeded boxer in the second fight. Carlo run into the number 3 seed in his second fight, and then he run into the gold medalist from Rio Olympic Games in his third fight. So the draw didn't do our athletes many favours. So
Okay.
to answer that question, I'd like to think that we could try and match what we did here or better.
Yeah. I I
Isa pa
I
daw.
I agree. And it's the same. Oh,
Meron pa.
last question. After Carlo Paalam advances to final, what advice did you give to Carlo since Yapal Galal is less experienced? Paalam is taller and younger. What is your feeling about after he lost to Yapal Galal?
Uh, what was the advice going into the fight or after the fight?
Yeah.
The question is after the fight or before the fight?
It says here that after he lost, so after the fight, what is your feeling
Yeah.
after he lost to Yapal Galal?
Well, like you have a look at the fight before the Japanese boxer. The Japanese, we analysed the fight before the how the Japanese boxer boxed against the Colombian. It was just a war. They were just standing there, having one massive big battle in the center of the ring. Whereas but the Japanese, what we observed with the Japanese, he was very very strong. You weren't going to push him back, but he was slow. So for our tactics, or Carlo's tactics, was to counterpunch him. So anticipate what he's going to throw first, and then get out of the way, hit and then move, and that's what he did the whole fight. He hit and then open the space, hit and then open the space, because the bloke was hit. All we wanted to do was walk forward and have a mid-range exchange with Carlo.
Okay.
And if he was going to try and do that, he wasn't going to win. He wasn't going that kid was just going to force him back and just win that big battle at mid range. So Carlo's plan was hit and run, hit and run. The tactic that I thought would have worked with Eurofire was what we call 1 and 3. So you hit him, you stay with him, you pick your shots, you wait for him to open the space, and you go the third time. Instead, Carlo thought the best option was to hit and open the space, that's no good with the fight because he was always going to go forward, 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 and that's what happened in the first round. That's why he ended up on the ropes, and that's how he got knocked out. So
Okay.
he took them to the tactics on in the second round and won the second round, but it was too late.
It's too bad that we don't have the decisions favoring us. But fortunately, we can topple that up on the next Olympics and do much better if God is willing to provide us with a good lottery on the draw. Okay, so
Yeah, nice story,
thank you,
Evan.
thank you very much. Thank you very much, Coach Don Abnett, for gamely willing to answer the questions, even though some of the question is uh, very hard to answer for you. But you are very game to those questions, and I salute you for that. And also, what I like what I said before. In behalf of the Filipino community, even it is not a boxing fan or a boxing fanatic, we would like to give you the gratitude and the humility of saying thank you for giving us your knowledge in boxing, especially in the amateur ranks. We badly needed that. And Brother Diego says, if we were gonna go to war with another country if they tried to poach you. that's 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 how we feel right now. So if they try to poach you within our grasp, no way. We were gonna go to war. So that's how we feel right now. We're hoping that you could still coach the Philippine team in the Paris Olympics
Paris
and
Olympics.
double the amount of medals that we have for our country and also for the amateur boxing scene here in the Philippines. And okay, so we will be wrapping this up. And
Thank you, Coach, very
thank
much.
you very
Thank you
much
very
for
much.
the light
Welcome.
conversation that we have right
You
now.
are a
And
very blessing to us, Coach, in the whole of
yeah,
the Filipino. You are a very
I hope
blessing that you give me our we are you give me us the
I hope
you are the
uh,
only one
mhm.
to give us a historic to us. To give the silver medalist and bronze. That is a very blessing to us, Coach. Thank you very much. Thank you very
No,
much.
years of welcome. Years of welcome.
Okay. So after 4 years, we would like to see you here once again, and
Agreed.
hoping
Again.
we're hoping that you could be you could brought some gold for us
Uh,
in the interview. Okay. Thank you, and good luck, coach. And
Coach, thank you very much.
thank you, and have a good day, and enjoy your day, the rest of your day, and
Okay.
God bless you.
Okay.
Thank you, and
Bless
have a
you
good
too.
day. Bye
Okay.
for now.